Welcome back, everybody. Here we are again. It's the Square to Circle Music channel. We're talking circles and squares again, just like we always do. Have a little bit of a fun change in pace this evening. Wanted to do something a little bit off the beaten path. I know I say that a lot, but this one truly is. I wanted to get in touch with my creative side, and I also wanted to get in touch with the side of me that likes to piss people off. This is the beginning of a new series of episodes that I'm going to start doing called Major's Unpopular Opinion Hour. So this should go over like a fart in church, and I entreat you all to join me around my little campfire of shit stirring here. So I'll dive right into it. I'm going to do a top 10 list of my most most overrated albums of all time. Whatever, not of all time, just a list of stuff that I comprised of things that I feel are just, they get played to no end. Either I don't really get it, I don't get the allure, I don't understand exactly why people dig these albums so much, or maybe they just in another category, maybe they were just like played to fucking death, a lot of them, so much to the point that maybe they started out, kind of like, interesting to me, but then over time just were played far too much. So things like that, I don't know, I just kind of wanted to go over some fun little things that are in my head that a lot of people don't always agree with. Pretty much almost always don't agree with me on these ones. So here we go. This ought to be fun. Here's the first one on my list. By a man whose career started out just just kind of like pearls from heaven, so to speak. No one can ever really say that he's not a good artist. I just feel that his career, toward the later into the 70s and early into the 80s, started taking a bit of a dip, got a little bit kind of kitschy and stupid, and even worse in the 90s. And by the time I was a high schooler, I was pretty fucking sick of hearing this guy. And this one just kept rearing its ugly fucking head all over the place. So I'm talking about Paul Simon and his album Graceland. Yeah, like I said, what did it for me was in 2001, I went on a little journey and I did something called International Drum Corps. And for some fucking reason, our visual, not the caption head, but the guy, well, yeah, I guess that's what you would call him, the visual caption head of the corps I marched for, would put this on every single morning. We would eat breakfast. We would wake up at 7 a.m., we would eat breakfast, and then we would go to visual rehearsal, warm up, body stretching, yoga, Pilates, ballet, blah, 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 blah. And for some fucking reason, this was his album of choice to warm up to every day. So for 5 months straight, maybe 6 months straight, Paul Simon's Graceland was the first thing I heard every single day. And holy shit, did I ever get fucking sick of this goofy, stupid, pathetic attempt at something, wildly eclectic and pushing the musical boundaries of the yeah, I don't want to get hateful and mean, because that's not really what I'm good at, and that's not really what I'm here to do. I'm just talking about shit that's just far too overrated. And of course, everyone's familiar with Simon and Garfunkel and what Paul Simon was capable of and what he did all throughout his early career. Like I said, pearls from heaven, and this was his early, I believe this was like the early 90s, right? Like 93, 94, something like that. Yeah. Meh. Over fucking rated. Paul Simon's Graceland. Here's another one that I feel just gets far too much. It's still talked about far too much. 50 fucking years later. And all of the weird little like social and what would you call it? Just urban legends or whatever. Just like the stupid legendary status of this album for some reason, and all of the hidden meanings and whatever. I'm talking about the Beatles' White Album. I don't get it. I don't fucking get it. Double disc. It's like, you know, John Lennon was just super absorbed with hanging out with Yoko and doing heroin and just, not interested in being a Beatle anymore, obviously. And so a lot of what you hear on this album is just kind of like a lot of experimental doofus bullshit that, Paul McCartney was kind of just cranking out and letting some of the other boys. Don't get me wrong, there are some masterpiece gems, a few songs on this double disc that are pretty amazing, but I don't consider it to be anywhere near the best Beatles album. A lot of people do. A lot of people hype it up like it is. It's still just in high demand all the time. It's on, top 10 albums of all time lists and blah, blah, blah. It's just like, what a bunch of like recapitulating nonsense mostly all throughout the whole album, the first disc and the second disc. And it's just like, I don't know. I don't get it. And a lot of people are like, well, it's British and, they're, kind of interesting style of humor. And that's what a lot of it is about. And, their poetry and their play on words and just their storytelling and this and that. And I'm just like, it's a bunch of Yahoo goofball dumb shit. Glass Onion and Back to the USSR and just a bunch of stupid hokey fucking songs. And I don't think it's worthy of just like the monumental, yeah, overrated, totally overrated. Yeah, so I hope I've got a few of you fuming by now, possibly. Another hugely unpopular opinion, these guys. Boy, I got fucking sick of these guys real quick. It was tough because when he died, that was a rough day for everyone, and I was still pretty young and impressionable. Good friend of mine who I've had on the show, shout out Nick. Nick came up to me. It was in the 8th grade. It was springtime in the 8th grade, so we were like 13, and rock and roll was really awesome to us, and we were loving it. And this was one of those bands, and he came up to me that spring day and he was like, guess who stuck a gun in his mouth, but whatever. I think In Utero is another one of those, It's just like he was so just kind of like so deeply into his own weirdo nightmare. And I'm not trying to talk shit about the dead, that's not really what I'm here to do, but I just honestly don't think this holds a candle to Nevermind. I think fucking Nevermind is way better. And sure, this was, maybe a little more experimental, maybe a little more darkly poetic. Well, all the shit the very, very typical shit that people say about this album. And, the production, Steve Albini, right? I think, pretty great, but, I think Kurt Cobain had just really gone, he had done all that he could possibly do, up through Nevermind. And then into this, it's just like with, Pat Smear and Chris, they weren't they weren't pushing the envelope, in my opinion. They weren't doing anything wildly ingenuitive or progressive. Then, I just don't get it. I don't understand why people just think this is kind of like the end-all be-all of 90s music, and how just it's so important to so many people. And I don't mean to debase your opinions if you feel that In Utero, is one of the greatest albums of all time. Good for you. I'm happy that you enjoy your opinion. This is my opinion. I just think Nevermind was far fucking better. So yeah, In Utero, kind of overrated. Another one, everyone's gonna think I'm being mean. Maybe slightly, I don't know, uninformed. I don't really want to be informed about these guys. They did not exactly what the Beatles did. They did a lot of like what the Beatles did, and a lot of what bands from the 60s did is they just took, what was happening and all the creative forces that are, blues veterans and that blues sound and kind of just, lifted it, fucking ripped it off and tried to make it their own. And I don't get it. I don't get it. I don't get them. I don't get the allure at all. I think they're a fucking terrible band. I think they're probably one of the most overrated bands of all time. I'm not saying they're talentless. Keith Richards that dude can fucking rip. All the players, their first bass player, whatever happened to him, didn't he die or he was a child molester? I don't know, something like that. I don't know. They're all a bunch of fucking goofballs and just the allure of Mick Jagger. I'm sure he was a sex symbol. That's cool. They were all sex symbols. That's how it was in the 60s. But especially this album, Let It Bleed, it just like it's got that stamp of monumental, greatest albums of all time kind of thing, and I'll never understand it. I'll never understand what it is about these guys that people think is so fucking great. They're just a shitty blues rock band. They're all not great at their instruments. They're all not great songwriters. Mick Jagger is just a creep. I don't know. But that's my unpopular opinion. And like I said, this album, for some reason, gets like put way at the top of all their stuff. And I'm just like, whatever, dude. There's like a couple of tracks that have been playing on the radio for 50 years and they're still as stale and dull as ever. And I don't know. I don't get it. So whatever. Short and sweet here tonight, Major's Unpopular Opinion Hour. Thanks for joining me. Once again, I want to thank everybody who subscribes to the channel and continues to tune in and give me thumbs up and give me encouragement. And yeah, you're really regretting all of that now, aren't you? I'm talking shit about all your favorite fucking albums. Whatever, and I'm gonna keep doing it. These guys, I don't get it. I just don't get it. Everyone talks about them like they're just the coolest thing since sliced bread, and just like, oh, they're all, bleh, whatever. Stevie Nicks, bleh, don't care. Don't fucking care. I don't even know anyone else in the band. What's their names? Mick Fleetwood? Fleet Macwood? There's a few guys in the band. I don't know. And then there's the one girl that sings, two girls that sing, and they sing a bunch of songs, and I don't get it. I just don't get it. My ex-wife was like super into them. I don't get it. It's just a bunch of soft rock from the 70s. And maybe people were way more into like the interpersonal kind of like before there were tabloids. Well, I guess there were tabloids in the 70s, but I mean, this was the tabloids. You know what I mean? Like these bands that had like these interpersonal, relation nightmares. I don't fucking care. Their music's boring as fuck. They hit, they made some hits that people are goo-gaw about, and good for them. I don't understand the allure. Not meant for me anyway. I'm not from that time. It's just what kind of just really befuddles me and makes me kind of just like, I've listened to it. I've listened to it a bunch. I'm not being from that era, but it's just like people of my generation and people of the younger generation, millennials and stuff. They're racing out to buy this thing. They're paying $12, $15, $20 for used copies of this, and I don't get it whatsoever. I just think it's ridiculously overrated, the band as a whole, but especially, of course, this album, because it's by far their most popular album of all time. And what were they thinking? This goofy photograph and like the dangle balls. I mean, somebody explained to me the dangle balls and how they didn't sit back and just look at that photo and be like, you know what? That's really kitschy and stupid. Maybe we should use a different photo or try a different kind of whatever. Maybe they did it on purpose. I don't know. This is stupid, overrated bullshit. Sorry, not sorry. Yeah, here's one from my generation, so I'm allowed to talk shit because, oh my God, this shit made me want to vomit. Even back in 1994, just fucking constant, like, this album one of those albums, like I've talked about like the Yes album, like 90125, how literally like 6 singles, maybe like 5 or 6 singles on that album, and like it went how many times platinum, who fucking knows. This was one of those. It's like every 2 months there's another fucking video on MTV by these guys, and every single fucking track sounds exactly the same. I mean, that's what happens. I talk so much shit about blues rock. It's just bullshit blues rock. Can't stand it. It's boring as fuck. It's stupid. Makes me sick. And this band just epitomizes that. We're talking about Aerosmith. Get a grip. Yeah, like 1993, I think 1994. Started with Living on the Edge, you know, and from that moment, they just went soaring into the platinum hills, and just like, it's amazing and crazy and baby. Oh my God. Yeah, just wanted to vomit all throughout 93, 94, 95. It's just like constant on every 10 minutes was on the radio. Every fucking kitchen I ever worked in, some idiot was playing this nonstop. Every time you go to the grocery store, it's playing. Every time you turn on the TV, you see what's her butt fucking Alicia Silverstone's in every video, and it's just like Steven Tyler Perry, or whatever their names are, just their shirts off and they're just sweaty and their hair's all greasy and everything's pierced. It's just like, ew. They're fucking lame. I can get on board with, I think, what's is it, Toys in the Attic? Is that what it was called? Toys in the Attic? Ragdoll. Little cutie. I mean, that song is alright. I don't know much about the rest of the album. It's just a bunch of bullshit dad rock, like blues. Boring. Stupid. Again, I mean, I can understand the allure. I'm not from that era. I'm not from the 70s. All you dudes who are, you know, from that era, you're starting to get pretty steaming mad at me about this one, I'm sure, but I don't give a shit. These guys are overrated as fuck, especially this album. I don't understand how you can take one song and rewrite one song 7 different ways and get a triple platinum album out of it, and how many Grammys or how many fucking awards or whatever for this. Who gives a shit? Bah. Yeah. I could go. I could go for the rest of my life without ever hearing a fucking song from those guys ever again. But yeah. So I've been unfair. Maybe a little unfair to some of you. And offending your sensibilities and your tastes. And not my intention entirely. I'm not here to offend people. I'm just here to share my unpopular opinion. Like I stated at the beginning. I did, there was a warning. And not, you know, I'm not getting, you know, bored or boring about this whole thing. I just wanted to do something a little different tonight. And I just wanted to, instead of pulling out all the shit that you guys don't care about, maybe you do, I don't know. I'm just going to kind of show you some more stuff that I think is just silly, overrated garbage. And like I said, to be fair, talk shit about all your favorite stuff. Now I'm going to talk shit about some of my favorite stuff. One of my very, very, very favorite bands of all time, whom I bring up all the time. They're incredibly overrated classic. The people go absolutely fucking nutty over, which I don't get. It was their 3rd album. It was their kind of monumental breakthrough. Like, people finally were like, okay, Yes is cool. Yes is really good. Yes is great. It's the first album. They finally got their, you know, virtuoso guitar player, Steve Howe. And so that kind of helped, you know, really catapult them into the stratosphere as far as getting recognition and being very experimental as well, because he was bringing a lot to the table, you know, as far as your psychedelic, you know, guitar rock things you were hearing from, you know, the late great Jimi Hendrix and you know, like Eric Clapton, and just kind of really crazy cool psychedelic jazz, blues. But he also had this really great flair for kind of like old world type stuff mixed with also blues stuff from America. So he was just really eclectic, really interesting. They got him in the band, mixing things up, cool. But this album just really very underbaked, very half-baked. You know, you would say kind of like, you know, good try, pals, but it's like, dude, this was their 3rd album, and then they went through 2 albums that weren't fantastic. I thought their first album was really great, but their second album was absolutely trash. And this one I put on this list as being, because it's just super, in my opinion, just super overrated. There's nothing on this album that is any good. Like I said, extremely half-baked. Steve Howe had not really found his place in the band yet and was just really kind of just noodling all over the place, not experimenting. I mean, it was experimenting a lot, but just not really fitting the mold. Where the other guys had already had their mold, Bill Bruford was kind of starting to get good at drums. I still think he's a terrible drummer, but there was no gelling on this album whatsoever. These guys did not gel. They tried so hard. Perpetual Change is kind of like, it's tried really hard to be a great song, but they just took it way, 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 way too long. It's literally, you cut the song in half and it's like the exact same song mirrored. And it's just kind of like really played out, did not need to be a 10-minute song, you know? And everyone talks about Starship Trooper, dude. Starship Trooper's on this album. It's like, yeah, it's fucking lame. The first few parts are kind of good. The production value is starting to get there. I think maybe this was Eddie Offord's first album with them. But Starship Trooper, man, it tried so hard, and they just like, yeah, like I said, just didn't spend enough time in the oven. You know, they weren't learning from each other well enough. It felt like they were like kind of jamming through the end of that album, and then like it was supposed to kind of come to this big moment, but that big moment never happened. And Bruford doesn't know how to play the drums and doesn't know how to bring things up to a specific dynamic level, and neither did Howe. And I think Steve Howe was kind of like punching in weird guitar stuff in the studio, and it's just like, maybe it was a bad you know, fault of Eddie Offord's, you know, production style, and just like every song was like that though. It just like there was no cohesion, and they wanted to bring it to like, you know, big parts, you know, and those big parts just fizzled out and never made fireworks, you know, never caught fire. So this album just does not do it for me, and for some fucking reason it does it for everybody. Like, this is the one, anyone is, oh yeah, I listen to Yes, I totally love Yes. This is the only album they ever have, is this album, the Yes album, their third, 1970, was it one? Yeah, I think it was 1971 they released this. Yeah, I never listened to it. Maybe once in a while, you know, when I got the new like Steven Wilson box set, I was like, oh, okay, maybe I'll put this on, maybe I'll feel different. No, didn't feel any different. It still sucks. Not their best. Very, very overrated album. So there. Says I. Yeah, I don't have many left. I won't keep going on this too long because I know it's kind of scathing and kind of peppered with some sarcastic assery. But yeah, it's fun. It's all fun and games. We all love music. There's a lot of stuff from these guys that I cherish and do love. All of those, you know, groups and individuals and bands and artists that I've mentioned, I understand what they've contributed, and I will never ever debase them to the point where I think they're, you know, worthless artists and that they haven't done their, you know, made their mark on the world. And that's not what I was intending with this, but yeah, just some more pieces of just overrated horse shit. Yeah, gonna get a lot of people mad with this one. Rush's 2112. God, fucking give me a break, everybody. Give me a break. This album's so fucking stupid. It's so stupid. They're so full of themselves in this album, and unrightfully so, because the musicianship and the everything, you know, everything is just totally half-cracked. Fucking, it's stupid as shit. The concept of it, the concept of this doesn't even have a fucking concept. The whole B-side is just like some weird ass fucking mishmash of who knows what the fuck they're talking about. Sure, you know, the first track on the A-side, the whole A-side is just like, you know, interesting, I guess, but yeah, doesn't do anything for me. Yeah, it sounds like a weird fucking spaghetti western, you know, just doesn't go anywhere. It doesn't do anything. It's just ridiculous. And people call this just kind of like a monumental masterpiece of like conceptual design, prog mastery. It's like, get the fuck out of here. This shit's so stupid. I don't even like half of what Rush does. And honestly, I think their best stuff was, you know, 79 and 80. I think probably, you know, Moving Pictures, Yeah. Signals, not Signals, sorry. What was the one right before Moving Pictures? Got the album art with the black and white with the girl with the ripped dress. Anyway, those two albums are fucking badass. Those are the best Rush albums, in my opinion. This one's just an overrated, ridiculous piece of trash. Yeah, I said it. I love and respect Rush for what they gave to the world. I really do. I just think that people give this album way too much status. So all you Rush fans, sorry guys. Yeah. Sorry, not sorry. It is what it is. Yeah. Yeah, some more overrated horse shit. Every Steely Dan record ever made. Overrated horse shit. Steely Dan's stupid. They don't make any sense to me. Jazz rock. Whoop-de-doo. Steve Gadd's a pretty badass drummer. Asia, the song Asia is pretty cool. Bum, 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 dun, 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 dun. Yeah, I mean, whatever. It's kind of quirky and, you know, aloof. Steely Dan, don't get it, dude. Another one of those things. It's like the Fleetwood Mac. Like, there's 20-year-old kids hunting down Steely Dan is the fucking coolest ever. I worked with this dipshit at a bar like a couple years ago, my age, and he's just like chronically spinning every Steely Dan album and doesn't even like music. He doesn't even know what the hell he's talking about. He's just doing it because he thinks he's cool. I'm like, what the fuck? I don't get it. Does the musicianship, and I guess everyone's really off on the production value of it all, and how it just sounds so amazing. The musicianship is just outstanding. Really? Really? All right, man. Whatever. What the fuck ever. Yeah. I'll end it now, because this video is probably seeming a little bit self-serving. Again, not really what I intended. I just wanted to do something a little bit different. So, again, you know, my unpopular opinion. But this one, honestly, I'm not gonna say it's not a bad album. It's a fantastic album. So I don't get it, Mage. Why? Then why is it? Okay, I'm just saying it's fucking overrated. It's been continually associated ever since 1974 with just this ridiculous hippie counterculture drug culture, the whole, like, you know, Wizard of Oz thing. It's like that was my first experience with this album. Was some idiot when I was 18 was like, man, you really gotta like take knife hits with me and like watch Wizard of Oz, dude, to this album, and it'll blow your mind, man. I'm like, what the fuck ever. There's a couple of great songs on this, and the concept is, it's all right, it's dark, it's Roger Waters, it's cool. I think there's like at least 3 Pink Floyd albums that far surpass this. They're way fucking better than this ever was, before and after this album. You know, Wish You Were Here is way better than this fucking album. And that's why I say it's just overrated. People just write it off. Not write it off, but I mean, people just like, it's just automatic to people. They're just like, oh, it's just the greatest. It's the greatest concept album ever made. It's like, it's hardly a concept album. Hardly. And the whole fucking album is based in like 2 notes. It's a blues rock album. There's a bunch of like soul singers on this and blues. It's just a blues rock record. It's a standard blues rock record with some kind of cool conceptual dark poetry, you know, all based in A flat and E or whatever, you know. It's like, it just gets it's blown up way too much. It's cool. There's just, you know, way better Pink Floyd out there than this one, in my opinion. But it is what it is. So that was 10 albums that I feel are highly overrated. And people need to quit playing this shit. It needs to just like, not go away entirely. Everyone needs to know about it, but yeah, some of it could go away forever and I'd be okay. I think we all would. But that's going to do it for this week. Short and sweet. And we're beginning an odyssey here into a series of kind of themed episodes. So I'm going to start doing some other things on different days of the week, kind of shorter, fine-tuned, specific types of things. And so this will be a reoccurring, episode I'll probably do maybe once a month or once every 2 months. Major's Unpopular Opinion Hour. So I hope I was able to at least make a few of you chuckle. And I look forward to all the comments. Maybe something, if anything, this might get some comments. I don't know what it'll take to get you people to comment on my page, on my channel. So again, thanks for joining me. This was the Square the Circle music channel. Yours truly, Aaron Major from Springfield, Oregon, signing off.